with cameras everywhere and security ready to pounce.
It wasn't even heat, it was volcanic.
Can they beat the odds and beat the system to pull off the big switch?
One man with something to prove. An elite team of con artists. A system they say is unbeatable, but they have an ingenious plan to take it down.
My name is Paul Wilson. For years, I worked with a team of expert cheats around the world, developing high-tech betting systems that beat casinos out of millions of dollars. For me, it's never about the money. It's always about the challenge.
Well, the cat and mouse thing in gambling is very simple. Gambling's made up of rules. Can I break the rules? Can I get an advantage? Can I beat the game? Will people know?
These days, I'm brought in to fly under the radar and look for holes in the casino security systems to see if they can be taken down. The Crystal Bay Club Casino in Lake Tahoe runs a crap game that rakes in millions. The casino wants to protect the game from cheats and make sure it stays legit. That's where I come in. My mission? Test the Crystal Bay security system by beating it at its own game.
I want to show that with the correct diversion and the correct play, we can take all 5 dice off the table, replace them with 5 of our own, and not get caught. This is the toughest assignment I've ever been given. Since the casino's owner has spent millions on security, switching dice at that table is next to impossible.
Usually cheaters come in and they see the systems that we have and they leave right away.
Roger is the only one who knows we're coming, but even he has no idea what we're going to attempt, though he claims he'll be ready for anything.
Sooner or later, we're going to notice something, and when we do, they'll be taken down.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime mission requiring a unique set of talents. I've put together a dream team of experts, starting with my right-hand man. Jason England is a longtime friend of mine and, in my opinion, one of the best sleight-of-hand experts in the world. Derek Delgadio. This kid has some of the best hands I've ever seen, but he's never switched dice in a live casino before. I hope he's ready. John Lubbock, an impressive sleight-of-hand expert and our go-to guy. If there's a snag in the plan, he'll come up with a way to fix it. Jennifer Erholm, a smart gambler and even more gifted actress. Michael Zurich has a great eye for security. He's the type of guy who can smell a problem from a mile away. We meet up at an undisclosed location to go over our plan. This is the target, the Crystal Bay Casino in Lake Tahoe. The guy who runs this place is a techno nut. Everything is latest, state-of-the-art equipment, full PTZ. He can look anywhere and at anything, so be careful what you wear. Stage 1 of our plan is getting into the casino without being detected. One slip-up and these guys will be all over us. Between 6 and 8, you come in separately, you wander towards the table over the course of those 2 hours. Nobody knows each other. We don't want to wake anybody up. Everyone will have 500 to a K. Just so you know, the most important thing here is the signal to Michael is what tells us whether we're going to go or not go. Once we're at the table, we'll be surrounded by surveillance cameras and some of the best security personnel in the business. These are the people we have to take down. We also have a pit boss walking around looking after all the tables. We have to make sure they don't walk up at the wrong time. Stage 2 of our plan is making sure their attention is anywhere but on me when I switch those dice. We're going to try to do it in such a way that nobody upstairs knows either. In order to switch all 5 loaded dice onto their table, the most difficult dice move on the planet, I'll need help. The best scam is a scam you can pull without them knowing they were even taken. Amanda? We're going to do that by locking up the table with our players and by creating a diversion. That diversion is called the turn, and it'll happen in 3 quick steps.
Place that on for the hard way, for the hard way.
Jennifer and Derek will have a fight at the far end of the table.
Oh, whoa, baby! Hey.
Jason will bump the stick man. Our other players will distract the dealers just as I've instructed them. In the middle of all that chaos, the dice will be switched. Once the dice are on the table, the next challenge for my team will be manipulating those dice to roll certain numbers, numbers that produce huge payouts. A very difficult thing to do.
We're going to use loaded dice, but not dice loaded with weight, magnetic dice. These will pass any weight test. They'll roll completely fairly, unless they roll onto one of these. And they're set for aces.
The key to manipulating the dice will be getting that magnet under the table. That's John Lovick's department. Of course, none of this will work unless I can make the big switch. There aren't many people with the balls or the skill to switch 5 dice under all that heat, but this is what I'm known for. This time, I've given myself quite a challenge. I'm going to try and beat Roger's security system with the most difficult dice switch there is.
If it works out, I'll take 5 dice out, I'll put 5 dice in, and no one will be the wiser. If not, we're going to jail.
Coming up, the heat is on, and it's hotter than the crew bargained for.
My team and I are about to try and switch loaded dice into a craps game under one of the tightest security setups in the world. Michael Zurich is the eyes and ears of this operation. I send him into the casino a couple of hours early for a little reconnaissance. He doesn't like what he sees and wants to call the whole thing off. Way too much heat.
It wasn't even heat, it was volcanic. They knew something was coming down.
Looks like Roger Norman's tripled security for our visit, making the dice switch nearly impossible. I could call the whole thing off, but I think we can beat these guys. Still, I want some insurance. I arrange a private meeting with Roger before the game, supposedly to wish him luck and say, "May the best man win." But I secretly carry the magnetic dice with me, knowing Roger probably has the legitimate dice in his office. At one point during the meeting, Roger looks away, and the legit dice are exposed. I make my move.
I went to my pocket, I managed to pull out all 5 of our magnetic dice in a row like that, and I just made the switch. No one caught it, no one saw it, no one even smelt it.
Once the game begins in a couple of hours, Roger will put our magnetic dice in play without even knowing it. If everything goes according to plan, they'll roll big numbers and we'll make a lot of money. Then I'm going to attempt the impossible. Switch the 5 legitimate dice I stole from Roger back into the game. After that, we'll make our exit. But a lot can go wrong between now and the big switch. One screw up in this place, and we're all going down. Between 6 and 8, my crew enters the casino. To anyone watching, no one knows each other. We're just a bunch of tourists looking to shoot some crabs.
When I came in and I saw exactly how much surveillance we were under, we had the 4 people at the table that we expected. Instead of 1 pit boss, we had 2 or 3, plus there were 2 other people circling us at all times. I had so much in my mind that I really wondered if we could get away with anything. This was like trying to rob the police station.
We knew that it was possible that we would not pull this off.
Have a good look at this face. Would you do anything while he's watching you? We have one thing working in our favor. Roger's guys have no idea the magnetic dice are already in the game.
The dice came out right away. They were on the table.
Now that we had the dice in play, we needed to get our magnet on the table. Not an easy thing to do with Big Brother watching. John Lovick came up with a brilliant idea.
We didn't know exactly how we were going to do it, and that morning, Paul and I sat down and said, okay, how are we going to sneak this in there? What can we get it in? And I happened to be drinking a cup of coffee. I said, you know, I bet it could fit in here, and we could take it right in and out. We tried it, worked perfect. We said, let's run with this.
He and Jason would slide that along the table so it would be at different spots.
Remember, we've locked up the rest of the table with expert dice shooters. They know exactly where to throw the dice to hit the magnet.
We would basically throw and try and hit those spots as often as we could.
Our magnetic dice are set to roll more 2s and 12s, which pay off a whopping 30 to 1. The girls are up 1,000. Jason's up 3,000. Derek and Jennifer, 3,500. After only an hour, we're up $7,500. Our big winnings are attracting a lot of attention from the suits. Here comes another casino manager.
He kept looking down at his hand, and I leaned over to Jason and said, "What is he looking at in his hand?" He goes, "A compass."
Roger's security guys are real pros, using the compass to locate our magnet.
There it is, right there, baby.
So to try to keep them off balance, we would move the cup along the lower outside rail of the craps table so that they weren't exactly sure who had it.
We can only stall them for so long.
We had identified two people on the end, the gentleman with the hat and the glasses and the lady next to him, as being the most likely candidates to have the magnet.
We've taken them for $8 grand, but time is running out. I want to switch the real dice back in and get out of there before they find our magnet. I look over at Michael thinking, how are we going to pull this off?
He's looking at me, I'm looking at him. I can see his angst, he can see mine, but it's like, all right, let's go for it. What the heck?
Here it is, me against the casino. Can I pull off the big switch? The Crystal Bay Club Casino.
This game is hot.
I came here to prove that the right team of experts could beat a multi-million-dollar security system.
I'm being faced with a huge challenge. The best cheat in the world would never make a switch on that table. Remember, I got a magnet in a coffee cup. I got 5 dice in the game that are magnetic. Now, these are particularly strong dice.
Spits aces, that's
We're up more than 10 grand in a little over an hour, but time is running out. I've got to find a way to switch the 5 legit dice back onto the table, take our illegal ones off, and get out of the casino without getting caught. Virtually impossible with security breathing down my neck.
There were pit bosses all over the place. They had extra security on the peripheries. They knew something was coming down.
The thing I noticed was the box man, who we immediately dubbed the Beard. The box man is the typically grumpy guy that sits and watches everything. He actually did something very interesting a couple of times. When those dice go bouncing down the table, every eye at the table follows the dice. This guy would fake us out and just watch our hands come back to see if our hands were dirty.
At that point, my hands are dirty. Very dirty.
I have the 5 dice from their casino that I stole that morning. And I wanted to move those onto the table. And for about 20 minutes, I had those palmed in my hand. Very uncomfortable. I'm thinking, what could I do that they wouldn't detect that we could put in with 5 dice right away?
You got to go on the moment, and you never know exactly when the moment is. And if you think you do, you're going to get caught.
With all of that heat going down, Michael wanted to call it off, but I don't think so. We were waiting for Jason's roll to end. Everyone was prepared, and I had the dice locked into my hand, and we get exactly what I'm waiting for. We get a moment.
It's about to go down. The dice are coming to me.
You should have been listening to my heartbeat when the thing actually went down. There was so much heat. I get the signal to everybody to make the turn, and I go for it.
But just before Jennifer and Derek can make the turn, that's when it happens.
I got caught just before it was going to go down. They walked right up, and I had the dice in my hand. And I managed to ditch them in my pocket. It's the best I could do. My concern then was, well, they got me, but I got 5 dice in my pocket.
When I saw them come down and take Paul, I was totally and completely shocked.
They walk me downstairs. In the old days, guys would have their arms and legs broken, or worse. I really hope times have changed.
We got suspicion that you may have an electronic device on you. Really?
They were looking for electronics. They were not looking for the dice. They thought I was carrying a magnet, and in actual fact, the magnet was on entirely the opposite side of the table.
You got any electronic devices on your person?
I have absolutely 0 electronic devices on my person.
The whole time the suits are shaking me down, security is upstairs closing in on my crew. They have to ditch that magnet fast, or they're busted.
And I said, John, I think the game is up. We need to get this cup with the magnet inside it off of the table.
He said, take that thing, go ditch in the bathroom. And I said, why don't you take it and go ditch in the bathroom? He said, I was just in the bathroom. And I said, maybe you've got a bladder problem.
I said, John, go now, go to the restroom. Ditch that magnet wherever you can. And that's exactly what he did.
We spotted him going towards the restroom, entered the restroom after he left, went through the restroom with a compass and found the magnet inside of a coffee cup in the trash can.
Things aren't going well. Casino security has found the magnet, and I'm getting the 3rd degree. But we still have one last trick left up our sleeve. We're in big trouble. Our cover's been blown and the Crystal Bay security team is shaking me down. I'm pretty sure Roger knows about my dice switch, and they've even found the magnet for our loaded dice. I'm stuck downstairs thinking, if we can't switch dice on that table, the mission's a complete failure. What the casino doesn't know is that I still have 2 world-class dice switchers in play, Jason England and Derek Delgadio.
These are guys who are very knowledgeable about these shots, so they're able to make 2 for 2 switches while they're being burned.
When security took me downstairs, I gave Derek and Jason the signal to try and switch dice onto the table. Derek's never switched dice in a live casino. I hope he's ready.
The scariest moment for me was, Derek, you have to switch 2 dice. That was being thrown into a cold shower because I had no idea this was coming. There were only 2 possibilities, me and Jason. Unfortunately, there was only one possibility because Jason had the mirror in front of him, so his switching was very, very limited. I was at the end of the table, but I had the box man, the stick man, the dealer, and another floorman. So we let the dice circle the table for a while. We did not see an opening to take our shot. At this point, it was a game of cat and mouse.
I didn't know that Derek was going to switch in the dice.
I had one of our mags in my hand and some of their chips from the craps table in my hand. When I knew they were all turned, I passed a chip from one hand to the other. Switching the die from one hand to the other, I placed a bet with it. Oh, did I? The dice came back to me. I reached down, picked up the 2 dice, switched ours in, took theirs out.
Hands are phenomenal, and I'll be perfectly honest, I missed the switch. He kicked in a die and I didn't even know it. I've been doing this for 15 years, so that just gives you an idea of how good he really is.
The kid is good. Derek switched dice without security catching it.
And that, to me, was a huge achievement for the team, because as much heat as we took, as much attention as we were getting from every single level of security, we decided to go for it, and we took them.
Time to give the casino a lesson in dice switching and show security how we slipped one past them.
These were set so it would have favored one of the big bets, 30-1. Now, if I could hit a couple of those in an hour, I could be walking out of here with $10,000, $15,000.
We demonstrate several dice moves that only a handful of guys in the world can pull off.
We know literally hundreds of switches. There are so many ways of doing it, so many ways to make your hand look natural.
Some players will rub the dice for good luck and shoot them down the table. Come over, they shake them, and we'll throw them down the table.
You can throw them into your jacket pocket. All right. Okay, let's go. All right. Okay.
I've been looking for that kind of thing for 24 years now. I've never really seen it. It's quite surprising, some of the things that can be done.
When you have a group of people that are as adept at doing what they were doing, it's difficult to catch them. I thought they were great.
It turns out Roger Norman had a little surprise for us, too.
Can you see the compass spinning in circles? These right here are the regular dice. These are the loaded dice.
He knew about my secret dice switch, but he didn't tell his staff to keep it a fair fight.
I'm going to palm this.
Leaving the Crystal Bay Club, I'm convinced that the next guy who tries to cheat this place is in for a rude awakening.
Come off the ear just a little bit.
I've been downstairs, and you're going to go downstairs too. And I've met James, who's in charge of security here. He's a large gentleman. I wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of his temper. So if you want to meet those people, come to the Crystal Bay and cheat all you like. They're going to catch you.
Lake Tahoe, a great place to visit. Now, an even harder place to cheat. Something tells me we'll be back this way again. Meanwhile, we'll hit the streets, looking for our next takedown.